The rusty gates of Miller's Interstellar Scrapyard creaked open as Jack Thompson drove his beaten-up maintenance cart through the entrance. The morning sun cast long shadows across the endless rows of abandoned spacecraft, their hulls reflecting dull glints of light through layers of space dust. Jack had worked here for 5 years, and every day felt like a treasure hunt among the stars' forgotten remains. "Another day in paradise," he muttered, taking a sip from his thermos of coffee. The bitter liquid helped chase away the lingering drowsiness from another late night spent studying old ship manuals. Most mechanics at the yard focused on newer vessels, the ones that could be stripped for valuable parts. But Jack had always been drawn to the older sections where ancient ships lay untouched. Today's assignment took him to Section K-17, one of the oldest parts of the scrapyard. The manager had ordered him to catalog anything worth salvaging before they cleared the area for new arrivals. As his cart wound through narrow paths between towering hulks of metal, something caught his eye. A glint of black material that seemed to absorb the sunlight rather than reflect it. Jack stopped his cart and pulled out his scanner. The device beeped uncertainly, struggling to identify the material. "Now that's different," he said, walking closer to what appeared to be the nose of a ship buried under decades of debris. The black surface was smooth, unlike anything he'd seen before, and completely free of rust, despite its apparent age. It took him 3 hours of careful clearing to reveal more of the vessel. What emerged left him breathless, a sleek warship design that predated anything in his extensive database. The ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of a modern corvette, with elegant lines that spoke of both beauty and deadly purpose. "You're not like the others, are you?" Jack whispered, running his hand along the hull. His touch triggered something unexpected. A faint hum vibrated through the metal. Most ships this old were completely dead, their power cores long since removed or degraded to uselessness. But this one still had life in it. Back in his cart, Jack pulled up the scrapyard's inventory system on his tablet. Nothing matching the ship's description appeared in any record. It was as if someone had deliberately buried it here, hoping it would never be found. The thought made his heart race with excitement. Further inspection revealed markings along the hull that his translator struggled to decipher. After several attempts, it managed to parse 2 words: Night Wanderer. Jack grinned. Even the name had a mysterious edge to it. He spent the rest of his shift carefully examining the ship's exterior, documenting every detail. The design was incredible. Weapon ports hidden seamlessly within the hull, armor that seemed to shift color slightly as clouds passed overhead, and engine nacelles that dwarfed anything in modern use. Near the end of the day, Jack discovered what looked like an access panel. Unlike the rest of the smooth hull, this section had obvious controls, a interface panel dark with age. Acting on instinct, he pressed his hand against it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft blue light pulsed beneath his palm, and the panel slid open with a whisper of movement. Inside, he found an intact computer core. Most ships this old had their AIs removed or destroyed, as ancient artificial intelligences were notoriously unstable. But this one looked pristine, merely dormant. Jack's mind raced with possibilities. Modern ships relied on simple computer systems, their AIs limited by strict regulations. But this was from an age before such restrictions. As the sun set behind the mountains of scrap metal, Jack made a decision. Instead of reporting the ship for salvage, he carefully sealed the access panel and covered his tracks. Tomorrow he would return with his personal tools. This wasn't just another piece of junk to be stripped and smelted. This was a chance to wake something extraordinary. Looking back at the ship as he drove away, Jack could have sworn he saw another pulse of blue light flash beneath its surface. Something told him he wasn't just finding this ship, it had wanted to be found. And now, the real work would begin. Before sunrise the next morning, Jack returned to the Night Wanderer with a heavy backpack full of tools. The pre-dawn darkness helped him avoid the other workers, though few ever ventured into this forgotten corner of the scrapyard. His flashlight beam danced across the black hull, as he made his way to the access panel he'd discovered yesterday. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding," he whispered, setting up his portable power unit. Modern tools didn't normally work with ancient systems, but Jack had spent years building adapters for exactly this kind of situation. He connected his diagnostic tablet through 5 different conversion chips before finally getting a reading. The ship's systems were unlike anything he'd seen before. Where modern vessels used straightforward power channels, this one had an intricate web of energy pathways. Jack traced them carefully on his screen, looking for a safe way to supply power to the AI core without overwhelming it. "Here goes nothing," he muttered, sending a small charge through his chosen route. The ship responded immediately. Lights flickered deep within its circuits, and a low hum vibrated through the hull. Jack held his breath, watching power levels climb slowly on his tablet. Suddenly, a holographic display burst to life above the access panel, showing streams of alien text. Before Jack could reach for his translator, the text shifted and reformed into English. "System reestared INITYE. Checking QRE FUNC DETCTV. Unauthorized access attempt. Defense protocols engaging." Wait. Jack raised his hands instinctively. "I'm trying to help. I'm a mechanic." The humming grew louder, and Jack felt static electricity crackling around him. Then, unexpectedly, a voice emerged from hidden speakers, deep, resonant, and clearly artificial. "You are not of the builder species," the voice said slowly, as if struggling to form the words. "Yet you speak. How long has this unit been dormant?" Jack swallowed hard. "I found you yesterday, but from what I can tell, you've been here for at least 100 years, probably more." There was a long pause. The holographic display flickered, showing various star charts that Jack didn't recognize. Finally, the voice spoke again. "This explains the significant changes in local space-time readings. I am processing this information." "Do you have a name?" Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The hull markings translate to Night Wanderer, but—" "That was my designation in your language, yes. But my crew, they called me Walker." The AI's voice carried a note of what sounded like sadness. "They are long gone now, aren't they?" Jack nodded slowly. "I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to your original crew or why you were abandoned here, but I'd like to help get you running again, if you'll let me." The holographic display shifted, projecting a detailed scan of Jack's body. "You are human. Your species was barely achieving powered flight when I was last active. Now you work with advanced technology. Fascinating." "We've come a long way," Jack said with a small smile. "Though some might say not far enough. Modern ships aren't allowed to have AIs as advanced as you. They're all strictly limited." "Fear," Walker stated simply. "Fear of what artificial minds might become. I remember this debate from before. It was already beginning." The ship's internal lights brightened slightly. "Yet you are here, attempting to reactivate me. Why?" Jack thought for a moment. "Because everyone else looks at old technology and sees junk. I see potential. Knowledge we've forgotten or thrown away. And honestly, you seem too amazing to leave rusting in a scrapyard." Another long pause followed. The hum of the ship's systems changed tone, becoming somehow warmer. "Your honesty is refreshing, Jack Thompson. I accept your offer of assistance, but be warned, reviving my full systems will not be easy. Many are damaged or degraded, and if we are discovered—" "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it," Jack said, pulling more tools from his backpack. "For now, let's focus on getting your basic systems stable. Want to walk me through your power distribution network?" As the sun rose over the scrapyard, an unusual partnership began to form. Walker's vast knowledge combined with Jack's practical skills, each learning from the other as they worked. Neither of them knew it yet, but they were about to change the course of galactic history. Over the next few weeks, Jack spent every spare moment working on the Night Wanderer. He'd managed to get permission to use Section K-17 as his personal project space, though his supervisor clearly thought he was wasting his time with worthless junk. That suited Jack just fine. The less attention they paid to his work, the better. "Your species has an unusual approach to engineering," Walker commented one evening as Jack installed a modified power converter. "You combine technologies in ways the builders would never have considered." Jack wiped sweat from his forehead, grinning at the nearest sensor panel. "That's because we learned to work with whatever we could find. Earth didn't have fancy unified systems. We had to make different things work together, or nothing worked at all." He demonstrated by connecting a modern power cell to Walker's ancient weapon systems, using a series of adapters he'd built from scrap. The energy readings spiked, then stabilized at levels higher than either system could achieve alone. "Fascinating," Walker said. "The inefficiency should be catastrophic, yet somehow the power flow is amplified." "How?" "Think of it like music," Jack explained, making another adjustment. "Sometimes two different notes make something better than either one alone. We're just finding the right harmony between old tech and new." Their work was interrupted by loud laughter. 3 other mechanics had wandered into the section, probably looking for salvageable parts. They stopped when they saw Jack's setup. "Still playing with your ancient rust bucket, Thompson?" the tallest one called out. "You know those old AIs are worthless, right? Can't even interface with modern systems." Jack felt Walker's systems tense, power readings flickering with what he'd learned to recognize as irritation. He placed a hand on the hull, a subtle gesture of reassurance. "Looks plenty valuable to me, Pete," Jack replied calmly. "But hey, feel free to stick with your standard parts. I'm sure those mass-produced ships appreciate your conventional thinking." The mechanics laughed again, but there was an edge to it now. They'd all seen Jack's talent with difficult repairs, even if they mocked his methods. As they walked away, Walker's external speakers activated at a volume only Jack could hear. "They doubt our potential," the AI said. "Perhaps a demonstration." "Not yet," Jack cautioned, though he was smiling. "Let them think we're harmless. Besides, we've got more important things to worry about. How's that new sensor array coming along?" Walker projected a holographic diagram showing the ship's upgraded systems. Over half the display glowed green, indicating successful repairs and improvements. The remaining sections pulsed red, critical systems still needing work. "Combat capabilities are at 43% of optimal function," Walker reported. "However, the integration of your hybrid power systems has increased efficiency by 27% beyond original specifications. The builders never achieved such results." Jack nodded, studying the diagram. "That's because they always looked for perfect solutions. Sometimes you need to embrace the imperfect to make something better." He pointed to a section of the weapons layout. "See this? Modern targeting systems are too slow for your main guns. But if we route them through that old processor cord you said was outdated." They worked through the night, Jack's practical experience merging with Walker's vast technical knowledge. The AI had initially resisted some of Jack's more unorthodox modifications, but results spoke louder than theory. Each successful upgrade built more trust between them. As dawn approached, Jack stepped back to admire their progress. The Night Wanderer's hull now had a subtle sheen, black metal rippling with hidden power. Modern sensors would read it as harmless scrap, but Jack knew better. Under the surface, ancient weapons waited alongside hybrid systems that no one else would even think to create. "We're getting close," he told Walker. "A few more weeks, and we'll have you running better than new." "Better than new," Walker repeated thoughtfully. "A peculiarly human concept, yet I find myself eager to explore its possibilities." Neither of them could have known how soon those possibilities would be tested, or how grateful the galaxy would be for Jack's unconventional approach to engineering. The attack came without warning on a quiet afternoon. Jack was deep inside the Night Wanderer's engine compartment when Walker's sensors detected the first signs of trouble. "Jack," Walker's voice carried an urgency he'd never heard before. Multiple ships have breached the scrapyard's security perimeter. Their weapons are powered, and their intentions appear hostile. Jack scrambled out of the engine space, wiping grease from his hands. "Show me." A holographic display flickered to life, showing 6 sleek vessels cutting through the scrapyard's airspace. They moved with military precision, their design unlike anything registered with local authorities. "Pirates?" Jack asked, already running through their options. The Night Wanderer was far from fully repaired. "Negative," Walker replied. "Their formation and technology suggest an organized military force. They are methodically scanning the yard, sector by sector, looking for something." An explosion rocked the ground, and smoke rose from the main office area. Jack's tablet lit up with emergency alerts as the scrapyard's basic defense systems failed one after another. "We have to help," Jack said, moving toward the ship's command center. "There are 30 people working today. They don't stand a chance against military ships." "Jack," Walker's voice was firm, "we are only at 61% combat readiness. Our shields are untested, and the main weapons draw power from experimental systems. The risk of catastrophic failure is significant." Another explosion lit up the sky. Through the smoke, Jack could see people running, taking cover among the piles of scrap metal. The attacking ships were getting closer to their section. "Sometimes you have to embrace the imperfect, remember," Jack said, sliding into the pilot's seat they'd restored last week. "Power up everything that works. We'll figure out the rest as we go." The Night Wanderer's systems hummed to life around him. Displays flickered on, showing power levels climbing as Walker diverted energy from non-essential systems. The hybrid power core they'd built pulsed with an encouraging blue glow. "Very well," Walker said, and Jack could have sworn he heard a smile in the AI's voice. "Engaging combat protocols. And Jack, I suggest you hold on tight." The ship rose from its resting place for the first time in a century, shedding dust and debris. Their attackers noticed immediately, all 6 ships turning to face this unexpected threat. "They're scanning us," Walker reported. "Their confusion is quite evident. Our hybrid systems appear to be confusing their targeting computers." Jack grinned. "Good. Let's show them what confused looks like." He grabbed the controls, thankful for all those hours spent studying Walker's original flight systems. "You handle weapons, I'll fly." "Agreed. Though I must point out that your plan lacks several key strategic elements. Like, for instance, an actual plan." "The plan is simple," Jack said, pushing the engines to full power. "We keep their attention on us, and away from the workers. Ready?" The enemy ships opened fire, energy beams slicing through the air where the Night Wanderer had been moments before. But Jack had already thrown them into a dive, weaving between towers of stacked ships. Walker's ancient weapons responded instantly to his commands, their power amplified by modern energy cells. Their first return shot caught everyone by surprise, including Jack. The hybrid weapon system fired a burst of energy that phased between visible light and something else entirely. It passed straight through the lead ship's shields, disabling its engines with surgical precision. "That was not in my original specifications," Walker noted with interest. "Your power modifications appear to have had unexpected benefits." "Save the analysis for later," Jack said, rolling them away from another barrage. "We've got 5 more ships to deal with, and I'm pretty sure they're done underestimating us." The Night Wanderer rose into the battle. Ancient weapons powered by human innovation, a ghost ship brought back to life by unlikely friendship. As they engaged their enemies, Jack couldn't help but smile. They might not be fully repaired, but sometimes the best solutions came from working with what you had. And what they had was more than enough to show these attackers exactly how dangerous a salvaged warship could be. News of the battle at Miller's interstellar scrapyard spread quickly through military channels. 2 days after defeating the mysterious attackers, Jack sat in the Night Wanderer's cockpit, watching a fleet of official government ships descend from orbit. "They're here to take you away," Jack said quietly, his hands resting on the controls. Military command doesn't like the idea of an unrestricted AI with advanced weapons. Technically, Walker replied, they're here to secure a potential threat to public safety. I've intercepted their communications. They plan to remove my AI core for study and scrap the rest of the ship. Jack's grip tightened on the controls. That's not going to happen. Warning messages flashed across their screens as the military ships surrounded them. A stern voice crackled over their communication system. Unregistered vessel. This is Fleet Commander Rogers. Power down your systems and prepare for boarding. This is not a request. Jack opened a channel to respond, but Walker interrupted. Jack, I'm detecting energy signatures matching the hostile ships from 2 days ago. 3 vessels, approaching from the opposite direction of the military fleet. Perfect timing, Jack muttered. He opened the channel. Commander Rogers, this is Jack Thompson. We've got bigger problems. Those ships that attacked the scrapyard. Their friends are back, and they're heading straight for us. There was a pause before Rogers responded. Our sensors show nothing, Thompson. This is clearly a delaying tactic. Power down now, or we will open fire. Walker, Jack said, show them what our hybrid sensors can do. The AI transmitted their sensor data to the military fleet. Jack watched their formation waver as they processed the information, seeing for the first time what the Night Wanderer's enhanced systems could detect. Impossible, Rogers breathed. Those ships, they're using some kind of stealth technology we've never seen before. Not impossible, Jack replied. Just different. Now we can either stay here arguing while they attack, or we can work together to stop them. Your choice, Commander. The enemy ships dropped their stealth field, obviously realizing they'd been detected. Their weapons powered up, targeting both the military fleet and the Night Wanderer. All ships, battle formations, Rogers ordered. Thompson, try to keep up. Jack smiled. Walker, shall we show them how it's done? The Night Wanderer leaped forward, its hybrid engines leaving a trail of blue fire. The enemy ships were faster than modern military vessels, but they couldn't match the combination of Walker's ancient maneuverability and Jack's unconventional flying style. Their shields are synchronized, Walker reported as they weaved through enemy fire. Each ship reinforces the others. Conventional weapons will be ineffective. Good thing we don't do conventional, Jack said. He pushed their hybrid power core to maximum, feeling the ship vibrate around him. Remember that power feedback loop we discovered during repairs. Let's put it to use. Walker caught his meaning immediately. As they dove between 2 enemy vessels, the AI channeled excess power through their modified weapons. The resulting burst of energy created a cascading failure in the enemy shields, leaving them vulnerable to the military fleet's conventional attacks. Remarkable, Rogers said over the comm channel. Thompson, what kind of technology are you using? The kind that comes from not throwing away good ideas just because they're old, Jack replied, bringing them around for another attack run. Sometimes the best solution is combining what worked before with what works now. The battle ended quickly after that. The enemy ships, their advantage lost, retreated into deep space. As the adrenaline faded, Jack realized they had a new problem. The military had just seen exactly what the Night Wanderer could do. They won't let us go now, he said quietly. No, Walker agreed. But I've been calculating possible escape vectors since they arrived. Would you like to see them? Jack grinned, already plotting a course away from the gathered fleet. Sometimes running was the better part of valor, especially when you had places to be and secrets to keep. Show me, he said. And Walker? Thanks for trusting me. Thank you for proving trust was the correct choice, the AI replied as they prepared to make their escape. The real adventure, it seemed, was just beginning. 3 weeks after their escape from the military fleet, Jack and Walker found themselves in a hidden repair dock on the outer rim of settled space. They had spent their time completing the Night Wanderer's upgrades, working without breaks as news of an impending invasion spread through the galaxy. The enemy ships we encountered, Walker said, displaying tactical data on the main screen, were only scouts. Their main fleet is approaching from the dark space beyond the outer colonies. Jack studied the readouts while connecting the last power coupling to their newly modified shield system. How many ships are we talking about? 217 vessels detected so far. Their technology matches what we encountered, but on a larger scale. The military's conventional weapons will be useless against their advanced shields. Standing up, Jack wiped his hands on his work clothes and looked around the command center. Every system now glowed with the unique blue light of their hybrid technology. Ancient displays showed power levels far beyond their original specifications, while modern interfaces tracked their experimental modifications. "Well," Jack said, "I'd say we finished our upgrades just in time. How are you feeling?" Walker ran a quick diagnostic. All systems are operating at 127% of original capacity. Your modifications have effectively created a new class of warship, one that combines the best aspects of both old and new technology. However, we are still just one ship. Sometimes one is enough, Jack replied, but he was interrupted by an urgent signal on their communication system. The face that appeared on their screen belonged to Commander Rogers. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Thompson, good, you're still alive. We need your help. Last time we met, you tried to take Walker apart," Jack reminded him. "Why should we trust you now?" "Because the enemy fleet will reach the outer colonies in less than 6 hours," Rogers said grimly. "We've assembled every ship we could find, but our weapons can't penetrate their shields. Whatever you did during our last encounter, we need that technology." Jack looked at the tactical display, where hundreds of red dots marked the approaching invasion fleet. "Walker, what do you think?" "The probability of victory is low," the AI responded. "However, I find myself unable to simply abandon the colonies to their fate. Perhaps this is another human trait I have acquired from our partnership." Jack smiled. "All right, Rogers. We'll help, but on our terms. And Walker stays with me. No government interference, no attempts to study or control the technology. Deal?" The commander nodded without hesitation. "Agreed. Just get to these coordinates fast. We're gathering every ship we can spare for a last stand." 6 hours later, the Night Wanderer hovered at the front of humanity's hastily assembled defense fleet. Behind them, 78 ships of various sizes and designs waited nervously as the enemy fleet approached. "I've transmitted the specifications for our shield-breaking technology to the fleet," Walker announced. "Their engineers are implementing the modifications now. The results won't be as efficient as our system, but it should give them a fighting chance." Jack watched the enemy fleet emerge from light speed, their black ships filling the viewport with an intimidating display of power. "You know," he said conversationally, "when I first found you in that scrapyard, I never imagined we'd end up here." "Indeed," Walker replied, "though I find it strangely appropriate. The builders abandoned me because they believed older technology could not adapt. You proved that wisdom comes in understanding both the old and the new." The enemy fleet moved into attack formation. Behind them, Rogers' voice came over the command channel. "All ships, prepare for combat. Thompson, Walker, lead the way." Jack grabbed the controls, feeling the familiar hum of the Night Wanderer's hybrid systems surrounding him. "Ready to make history, partner." "Always," Walker responded as their weapons powered up with that distinctive blue glow. "Let us show them what happens when you underestimate the combined power of human innovation and ancient technology." Together, ship and crew moved forward to meet the invasion force, ready to defend their galaxy with everything they had learned from each other. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations as one of the most spectacular space conflicts in human history. The Night Wanderer led humanity's defense fleet in a dance of light and energy, their hybrid technology turning the tide against overwhelming odds. "Shield-breaking sequence successful," Walker announced as their modified weapons tore through another enemy vessel's defenses. "The fleet is adapting our tactics well." Jack pulled them through a tight spiral, avoiding a barrage of enemy fire. Around them, Human ships followed their lead, using the newly shared technology to target weak points in the invasion fleet's formation. The space around them lit up with explosions and weapons fire, a deadly light show against the backdrop of stars. Their numbers are still a problem, Jack noted, watching 3 enemy ships move to surround them. We need something bigger than individual attacks. I have been analyzing their fleet movements, Walker replied. They operate on a linked network, similar to their shield synchronization. If we could overload one section, the feedback would cascade through their entire fleet, Jack finished, already understanding where Walker was going. But we'd need to get right into the middle of their formation to make it work. The probability of survival for such a maneuver is approximately 31.7%. Jack grinned. I like those odds. Better than 0, right? He opened a channel to Commander Rogers. Commander, we're going to try something. Have the fleet fall back and prepare to target any ships that break formation. Thompson, what are you planning? Rogers asked, but Jack was already pushing the Night Wanderer's engines to maximum. They dove straight into the heart of the enemy fleet, their hybrid shields flickering under constant bombardment. Jack's hands flew over the controls, guiding them through gaps between enemy ships that shouldn't have existed. Diverting all non-essential power to the weapons array, Walker announced. Jack, it has been an honor to fly with you. Save the goodbyes for later, Jack replied, his eyes focused on their target, the largest enemy ship at the center of the formation. We're not done yet. The Night Wanderer's hybrid core pulsed with unprecedented power as they channeled everything they had into one massive burst. Their weapons fired, the energy pulse looking almost alive as it struck the enemy flagship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the chain reaction began. The feedback loop traveled through the enemy fleet's linked systems like lightning through a metal rod. Ship after ship lost power, their advanced technology turned against them by the very networking that made them strong. Explosions rippled through their formation as overloaded systems failed catastrophically. Multiple ships attempting emergency jumps, Walker reported. 85% of enemy fleet disabled or destroyed. The remaining vessels are retreating. Around them, the human fleet erupted in cheers over the communication channels. The Night Wanderer drifted in space, their power systems slowly recovering from the massive energy discharge. You know, Jack said, watching the last enemy ships flee, we never did figure out who they were or why they attacked. Perhaps some mysteries are best left unsolved, Walker replied, though I suspect we haven't seen the last of them. Days later, the Night Wanderer sat in a place of honor at the main military dock. Engineers and officials swarmed around them, all eager to study their unique combination of technologies. But true to his word, Commander Rogers kept them at bay. The official story, he told Jack, is that you and Walker are now independent contractors for the fleet. We'll call when we need you, but otherwise, you're free to go where you please. Jack looked up at the Night Wanderer's hull, still bearing scars from their final battle. What do you think, Walker? Ready for more adventures? I find myself curious about other forgotten ships, the AI responded. Perhaps there are more ancient vessels waiting to be revived by human innovation. My thoughts exactly, Jack said with a smile. After all, someone needs to prove that obsolete is just another word for hasn't met the right mechanic yet. As they prepared for their next journey, Jack couldn't help but feel proud. They had done more than just save the galaxy. They had shown everyone that the future belonged to those who could learn from the past while embracing the new. And that was a lesson worth sharing, one forgotten ship at a time.